that our research shows that when you begin to teach people how to open this center and you teach them a formula on how to practice it, that if they did that for 4 days, that they would begin to strengthen their immune system by 50%. If you could just trade fear and frustration and resentment and suffering for an elevated emotion and truly open your heart again and practice doing that, you'll heal. Some people change fundamentally to such a degree that the disease or the condition that they showed up with as the old person is completely gone, because they're not the same person any longer, because they are thinking differently, they are acting differently, and they are feeling differently. And how you think and how you act and how you feel is your personality. And your personality is intimately connected to your personal reality. That process of teaching people how to do that, and then having someone stand on the stage with stage 4 cancer and say, or a tumor that was there that's now gone, or shows up at the second event and they came a month earlier or 2 months earlier to a different event, and they have their scans in front of them, like, there's the tumor.
That's crazy.
And then there it's not there. So then they're talking and telling that story. It's the 4-minute mile. And the 4-minute mile says, oh my God, somebody just broke through a layer of consciousness, and if they can do it, I can do it. And as soon as that 4-minute mile gets broken, it's in the field, and it's evidence in 3-dimensional reality, and it's a footprint that people can step into. When you're traumatized, some threat or some danger or some condition in your outer world, through your senses, is changing how you feel in your inner world. And the quotient of change between the way you normally feel in some alarm state, when you change your internal state and move into that emergency mode, you narrow your focus on the cause, and the brain freezes an image and takes a snapshot, and that's called a long-term memory. And now that image is branded holographically into the brain. So then we remember experiences better because we can remember how they feel, and that memory then changes the person's biology. Is it possible then that people can heal that quickly in 1 week? Yeah, because what if they create an inner event that carries an amplitude of gratitude or joy or freedom, breakthrough from the chains of the past? And when the body is liberated and you feel that elevated emotion, the stronger the emotion you feel from that breakthrough, the more you're going to pay attention to the image in your mind. And now you're beginning to brand new circuitry in the brain, and your body's being conditioned into a new future. And the stronger the emotion you feel, and the more you pay attention to the picture, the more you're conditioning the body over time to the future instead of the past. So now you keep knocking on that genetic door emotionally, then that emotion ultimately signals a new gene that upregulates that gene to produce better proteins, and the person then all of a sudden starts healing. And we have research to show that people can do that in 4 days. Signal genes to reduce cancer cells.
Wow.
To signal stem cells, to suppress, to go to active tissues and repair them and regenerate them and suppress inflammation. We have research to show that you can change the number of brain cells you have just by doing this properly. If you had experience of trauma, say, for example, and it's created the feeling of fear, and your fear is that it could happen again. And you don't know this, but every time you think about that future, that possible worst case scenario, and you feel the emotion, you're conditioning your body to become the mind subconsciously of anxiety. So now, all you need now is some cue in your outer environment that says it's unsafe, that there's damage there, that you're a victim, something's bigger than you that could have an effect on you. Well, now that feeling of fear is going to cause you to think thoughts equal to it. So the person then no longer needs the environment to feel that fear. They just have the thought about that condition now. And now they're literally knocking their brain and body out of balance by thought alone. And the body's constantly living in emergency mode. And it takes a lot of energy. When you place your attention right here in your heart, this center right here, this is the beginning of our divinity. This is our center of oneness, our wholeness. This is where we begin to feel love, gratitude, compassion, kindness, care, freedom, joy. It's all these elevated emotions that are heartfelt emotions. Your body is fighting viruses and bacteria all the time. There's a constant competition going on.
Really?
So our research shows that 4 days of opening your heart releases immunoglobulin A, your body's primary defense against bacteria and viruses. It's better than the flu shot. It's the body's natural flu shot. And that's the innate intelligence of the body saying, I got this, I got a lot of energy. In fact, I got a surplus of energy. In fact, I'm radiating energy, and now my outer world is not controlling my inner world. My inner world now is functioning independent of what's going on in my outer world. And now,
you're manifesting.
Now you got it. Now you're in a creative state. Exactly. Now you're a magnet. Now you have a field, right? And you have energy to heal. And our research shows that that field around your body will actually expand. You radiate more light and information. Cells. How do you get that person out of their past? Well, we need a week. It's not going to happen. I want them to come right up against their fear. I want them to come right up against their doubt. I want them to come up against the point where they're going to give up and quit. And they're going to sit there and nobody else is giving up and quitting. And they're going to go all in more, and they're going to start believing there's something on the other side of that emotion. They're going to believe that there's something past the story of their past because they're stretching themselves out of the known. And it takes a tremendous amount of awareness, repetition, information, model building, sharing, understanding, experiencing to finally have a person get to the point where they just let go. And when they do, the body's liberated from the past and there's a release of energy. And we now know that there's a formula to teach people how to do that. In fact, we're getting so good at it that the first 2 days, a day and a half sometimes, 1 day in certain groups of a week-long event is about retiring that past, finishing it. The first thing and the most important thing for me is knowledge and information. Knowledge is really power, and knowledge and information about yourself should empower you. It should empower the self, right? So when we learn about the immune system and all it can do, and we say, oh my God, you mean not every virus gets to me? In fact, no. And the more you understand that, and the more you coax your immune system into love and into love. I just did this little thing on our social media where I was talking about the inner army of order and what would be the signal you would want that inner army to get. And so we created this meditation and we said, what would invincibility feel like? Signal your body and feel invincible. How would you feel if you had an uncompromising will, that you had more energy than you could possibly imagine? Show your body what it feels like, because it is that emotion of invincibility, that emotion of an uncompromising will to empower your inner world. And you have the intent of that's what it's for. Wow, get ready, because you're going to start creating a cadence and a rhythm where your body's going, whoa, what is all these new chemicals? What are all these new signals?
Right.
Hey, it's time. Hey, now all of a sudden receptor sites on the T cells go, wow, we got some new signals coming from the boss here. Let's open up all those T cell receptors. Let's go. In fact, we would love a little fight right now because we got a lot of time on our hands and we got all our receptors turned on. It's simple. Knowledge, experience, wisdom. Philosophy, initiate that philosophy, master it.
Yep.
Mind, body, soul. Thinking, doing, being. Learning it with your head, applying it with your hands, knowing it by heart. And this is the journey of knowledge, because when you learn that information and you really study it, you are going to begin to see the world differently because your brain is changing. Then when you start saying, how can I use this? How can I apply it? How can I personalize it? How can I do something, initiate this information? What do I got to do? How do I get my behaviors to match my intentions? Now, this is the act of trial and error. It's so important. You don't make it the first time. You don't give up. You get up and you try to walk again. And you start learning how to do this. And so as you begin to do it over and over again, you start having new experiences.
Yes.
Well, new experiences enrich the circuits in your brain philosophically. And now the brain makes a chemical. And now you're feeling more unlimited. You're feeling more whole. You're teaching your body chemically to understand what your mind intellectually understood. And now you are literally starting to embody that knowledge. Take time and ask yourself, what is a greater expression of myself? Who can I forgive? How can I change? How can I love more? What is it that's stopping me from believing in my future? What do I need to learn about myself? Well, instead of mindlessly getting lost in all those distractions of social, awareness, why not get lost in yourself? And literally get, not only mentally rehearse it, but physically demonstrate it, become it. I mean, walk it, become it in your walk as it, see what happens. For however long this goes, what's the worst thing that could happen to you? You get happy.